So what we've done here is we've done a service on this aquarium's fish/turtle tank, and the sand is quite fine and it has never been cleaned with a gravel cleaner, and in that time hydrogen sulfide has built up. Now there was a lot of remnants of black where it hasn't been disturbed, particularly in that back area, and that is like deposits that the anoxic bacteria can create. And then when I disturbed all this sand, I got a distinct sort of eggy fart smell, and that's the hydrogen sulfide. Now you can't rely on the smell, because sometimes the hydrogen sulfide, for one reason or another, just doesn't have the smell. In this case, it was a very clear smell. I could literally smell it when I walked back into the room. So what we've done in this case is we've added some aquarium detox. Now the aquarium detox is mainly just to stop this from happening again. It adds bacteria which is incompatible with anoxic zones, which causes this dead spots or these anoxic problems. But the main thing we've done is we've added some polyfilter to the filter, and I've also wrapped a fair bit of activated carbon in filter wool and put that in the filter. So the activated carbon and the polyfilter should remove the sulfide out of the water. Now we did see a distinct pH drop. The pH of this aquarium when I got here was 7.8. The pH of Sydney tap water is 7.8, which means when I did the water change I would expect the pH to be 7.8. But the pH after I did this water change was actually it went down to pretty much around neutral. So there was a significant pH drop, and that significant pH drop would be caused by the hydrogen sulfide, which is a poisonous gas that has been released from the sand. Now I was clever enough to only gravel clean a little bit of the tank, so right now only that bit's been done. Then I'm going to come back next week and do a bit more, come back the week after that, do a bit more, and then I think in about 4 weeks time I'll have this completely sorted, and then we should be able to go to monthly maintenance. But this aquarium really hasn't had much maintenance in the last year, so that's how we've been able to get into this sort of what we call old tank syndrome. So old tank syndrome is when there's areas in the back of the aquarium where oxygen is not able to get to underneath the sand, and the sand has not been disturbed. Oxygen has not got in there, and the bacteria that's grown has ended up being anoxic bacteria. This anoxic bacteria discharges hydrogen sulfide, and that's how we got ourselves in this mess. Now if you leave the hydrogen sulfide undisturbed, it's not great. It slowly leaches into the aquarium, but it's not really dramatic like this. If you disturb it, that's when it all comes out at once. The biggest issue we're going to have is when we get around to moving that rock. So once we move that rock, that's when I think where the most hydrogen sulfide is going to come out. So the filter's had a good clean now. We're going to have to keep rotating that filter wool. Going to have to throw away that polyfilter and that carbon after 1 month. The pump's had a good clean, and the pH is going to need to be checked fairly regularly, at least every couple of days, because I am concerned about the pH dropping. The KH has remained fairly stable. That was at 4, about 3 or 4 before the water change. It was about 3 or 4 after the water change, and we have since put some KH powder in and buffed it up to 8. So I do expect that to drop, but that seems to be fairly stable. I think the main issue is the sulfide that's been released, which is going to affect the pH. And sulfide itself is actually poisonous, so I'm hoping that the carbon and the polyfilter sort that out. So we are running with a little bit of luck. So far the fish do seem okay. They're showing a little bit of flicking and scratching, which just could be due to the fact the temperature was a little bit low at 22. We're going to put an extra heater in there just to heat the tank up to 25 degrees, and then that should really stop this flicking and scratching, which could become a white spot issue. So there's just a series of things that are going to start getting managed on this aquarium, and hopefully within a month it should be really awesome. But right now we have absolutely taken a step backwards in order to hopefully take a couple of steps forward.